Hi, this is Jackie's Reading Room, and I'm your host, Jackie P. Have you turned some pages today? Feeling. That is what it is about. People place so much value on thought, but feeling is essential. I want to read books that make me laugh and cry and fear and hope and punch the air in triumph. I want a book to hug me or grab me by the scruff of my neck. I don't even mind if it punches me in the gut, because we are here to feel. I want life. I want to read it and write it and feel it and live it. I want, for as much of the time as possible in this blink of an eye existence we have, to feel all that can be felt. This is an excerpt from Reasons to Stay Alive by Matt Haig. It's actually page 219 if you want to go there. Today, I'm going to focus on one specific author. That's Matt Haig. And I'm going to tell you all about it and especially why I love his work. And hopefully, it's going to inspire you and you can start to get reading. I forget how I discovered him, but the first book I read by him is entitled Notes on a Nervous Planet. It came out in 2018, but I read it in 2020. And if you think back to that time, right, 2020 was a time when we were pretty much inside. And I think this book really helped me at that moment. I'm a big believer in reading a book at the right time, that there is a right time to read a certain book. Anyway, I don't know if anybody out there can relate to that, but that book really worked at that moment, and I'm sure it still would. It's a nonfiction title, and it's a really small book, like physically, it's like a little book with short segments on Matt's thoughts on different topics. And to name a few: love, technology, depression, life, etc. I loved it. I mean, I fell in love with Matt's humor and writing, and it really is a feel good book. Very nice present to give to somebody, just saying. Then I read something completely different called Evie and the Animals, which was written in 2019. It's one of his children's books because Matt Haig, as you'll see, is a very prolific writer and he writes all kinds of things. Now, Evie, the main character, is a young girl, and she reminded me of my youngest daughter, who loves animals. My youngest daughter loves all, I guess I could say, all living creatures, and Evie can actually communicate with animals. And as I was reading this, it felt like it was the story of my daughter. So very cute story. Listen, I told you I read about just about anything. You've heard in my other podcasts, I will read some graphic novels, some thrillers, some historical fiction. And sometimes I will pick up books for young adults, for children, because I have children and stepchildren, and I am a teacher. So I love to read what my kids and my students read. So, about Matt, he was born in July of 1975, which means that he is 47 today. In Sheffield, England, he is a journalist and author. He is married with two children, and you can find him on his website, matthaig.com. He has quite a few books out. If you just type in his name in a search engine, or if you go to a site like barnesandnoble.com from the US, or indigo.ca in Canada, or even your local bookstore, your local library, you'll see that he has quite a few nonfiction titles, a few novels as well, and as I was mentioning, some children's stories as well. Two that I really enjoyed are The Comfort Book and Reasons to Stay Alive, that I quoted earlier. The Comfort Book is one of his most recent books. It was published in 2021, and I read it at the end of the year, so I would say maybe last December, And it was exactly the right timing. As I was mentioning, I think that the timing to read a book sometimes really works. And it really is a comforting book. Um, it was at a time when I was very tired. I had been working a lot, volunteering, helping my kids. So December of 2021, I was extremely tired, and I think I needed that book really, and a bit like Notes on a Nervous Planet, small little book with tidbits on what makes life enjoyable, going through challenges. I just find that reading his nonfiction titles, you feel like Matt Haig is telling you about life and how he um, goes through life. He actually personally had issues with anxiety and depression, and even suicidal thoughts. So I find that because he's been writing, it feels like it's possibly one of the reasons that makes his life better. I would imagine. And Reasons to Stay Alive, I read afterwards in 2015. Actually, I it was published in 2015, but I read it not too long ago, and it actually does cover his struggle with anxiety and depression and suicidal thoughts. It became a Sunday Times bestseller, and it was on the UK top 10 for 46 weeks. Imagine that. And another book, I want to just say that if ever you have personally lost somebody to suicide, or it might be difficult to read, I read it of course, as who I am, the mother of a young daughter and a teenager, a stepdaughter, a stepmom, I guess, of a 17-year-old and a 10-year-old. I teach students who are about, let's say, 18, 19, 20 years old. So to read about Matt's struggles, um, it's always difficult, but then you're rewarded. That's all that's how I can describe it. You're rewarded with the hope that comes out and little tidbits, like what I read to you when I started the podcast. Now, obviously, I haven't read everything, and I have two of his books right here with me that are on my TBR pile. The first one is The Midnight Library, which came out in 2020. It's a novel, and I briefly mentioned it in podcast number 7, because The Midnight Library is part of the TikTok book talk list, right? And it's really the story of a young woman who's unhappy with her life choices, and when she tries to end her life, she ends up in a library that's kind of between life and death. And the library allows her to live different lives if she had made different choices. And I thought, we've always wondered, what would it be like if I had turned left instead of right? What if I had not dated that person, or et cetera, right? We always kind of ask ourselves that. So it's definitely, I bought it almost as soon as it came out, but like many books in my bookshelves, it's been waiting patiently for me to pick it up. But I will definitely have to get there. I also saw that the Midnight Library was shortlisted for the 2021 British Book Awards, and it was adapted for radio. So 10 episodes on BBC Radio 4 in December of 2020. Now, because I'm in Canada, I don't have access to this. Maybe if people in the UK might have access to BBC Radio 4, I went online and I couldn't have access to the radio episodes, which would be very interesting to see how they adapted the novel. I always enjoy. You remember that podcast number 6, I believe? Yes, was From Page to Screen. I love to watch, or I guess, adaptations of a book that I've read. And the other one that's on my list, it's called A House Called Mika, and it's from 2021. It's one of his newest children's books. And I just love the cover of that little book. So I have it here in front of me. It's a little mouse. Um, Actually, the drawings are by Chris Mold. Very cute. And then the mouse is holding like a very greenish looking piece of cheese. And the mouse looks very happy. But as a human being, of course, you look at that and you think that that cheese must be um, way past its due date. So I really have to admit that I enjoy sometimes um, being sucked into a children's book. Um, it's like it's stepping out from my usual novels that I read, or nonfiction titles like memoirs. Although I do love to read all of these, it's fun to get into the another kind of story that was written for kids in mind, and there are some pictures in the book, which makes it very fun. And I really love those pictures. To be honest, the artwork is really well done, and it's really sweet. So to wrap up, let me just read a little excerpt, another excerpt from Reasons to Stay Alive. Let me just get there here, page 182. I believe he was talking about books, right? Because you have all kinds uh, of little messages. So this little tiny chapter, if you may, it's about a page and a half. Is called "The World," and one of the little quotes there is I find super interesting. It goes like this: "Life is the people who love you. No one will ever choose to stay alive for an iPhone. It's the people we reach via the iPhone that matter." And as a teacher who has to deal with students and their cell phones in class, I have to tell you, this made me feel really good, that quote, because it really is the truth. It's really the people behind the device, right, that make it all worthwhile. So, listen, there are a lot more pieces of work from Matt Haig that you can get your hands on. Go to your local bookstore, local library, check them out. And once you've read one of those little books, I really think that they make very good little presents for the people in your lives. So that's it for now, and I will see you next time. Take care.